It's been a minute. We can shoot the shit.
Just the two of us? Can we make it if we try?
Just the two of us. I don't know the other lyrics.
Building castles in the sky?
Castles in the sky.
Castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I.
What's the maximum weight of a structure that a cloud can support?
Clouds are actually remarkably heavy.
Right.
I do know this is a fun fact. Like, clouds are unbelievably massive.
Yeah.
And, like, mind-shatteringly heavy. Because they're full of water, and they're so much bigger than you could possibly picture. If they were on the ground, they would be the size of cities.
Yeah.
Like, and they're just pure water. And water's heavy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Average cloud weight. I mean, I can't imagine it holds much more than itself.
Right.
The average cloud is 1.1 million pounds.
Oh, so we can get some infrastructure in these clouds. These aren't just castles. Literally. These are highways connecting them.
Exactly. This, like, that's an average, like, everyday cloud. You look up in the sky, you see it, 1.1 million pounds. Think about the fucking big boys.
Yeah.
And these are like cumulus, like fluffy, cute little clouds.
Yeah.
You know, imagining like the threatening, like sky-covering thunderstorm clouds. Like, we're talking probably billions of pounds. It's insane.
I think we just stumbled on the next real estate opportunity right here. Clouds.
Clouds.
Andrew, we are recording this if there was any doubt in your mind.
So
okay, good.
Okay. Just making sure. Basically, that's like if you were to live on Jupiter or Venus or something, how it's like got all these clouds and everything. That'd be where you'd live, is in the clouds. So we're getting a jump start, and then when our company establishes itself as the premier gas-based real estate company, we can move on to other planets and start establishing that infrastructure.
Well, I don't want to be the guy that comes in with the well actually to your bit, but the gravity on Jupiter and Saturn is so strong that even though the clouds are super dense, you would literally just be sucked into the core of the planet over the course of like several years.
Nah, man, I'm strong.
See, where you Andrew, where you see problems, I see solutions. Like, we're talking anti-gravity technology we're going to have to develop. We're going to form colonies in these gaseous clouds that will far exceed... I'm thinking 400 years in the future. That's where our progeny is running our gas real estate company.
So you find the density of whatever these clouds are that you're trying to live on top of, and then you just make something that's slightly less dense than that and constantly just shoot it out of the bottom of whatever you're living on. And, displacement, that less dense thing's going to sink, which is then going to cause the higher density. Or wait, no, I'm reverse that. Something more dense is going to shoot out of the bottom of where you live. Displacement's going to then keep the higher or less dense clouds to push you up.
It's
simple.
Well, and we've been working for hundreds of years in evaporated water clouds. I'm sure that water's heavier than whatever the gas is. We'll shoot jets of water, like those weird jet packs that people use on lakes. We'll shoot those down at the ground. Massive pillars of water.
We don't even have to do that. We can just pull the whatever gaseous material is out of the atmosphere and condense it, which will then shoot out at the bottom. And of course, because it is then a liquid, which is denser than the gaseous form of whatever that material is, you float. Probably. I don't
tell you what.
I
I like where you guys are thinking, going high tech with this one. I have a solution I want to run past you though. What if everybody living on Jupiter is just like attached to a cable constantly? That keeps them from falling to the center of the Earth.
What is the cable attached to? The cable's vertical from the core.
Yeah.
Is there no such thing as ground then? Like, do you not stand on anything?
You don't stand on anything in the clouds. Real estate.
Yeah.
So here's what I picture. I picture the end of the movie Interstellar, where Matthew McConaughey has to eject himself and TARS from the ship to give it that leverage of pushing them out of the black hole's sphere of influence. So we get, and bear with me, we're dealing with large numbers, hundreds of millions of Matthew McConaughey clones.
Yes.
All put in little spaceship ejector pods, and we're constantly firing Matthew McConaughey's at the surface of Jupiter to keep ourselves afloat.
One thing, though. Why do the pods have to have people in them?
So, they have to have Matthew McConaughey, man.
Why do they have to have Matthew McConaughey?
Extra mass.
Yeah, so it's enough mass, so you get that like extra repulsion. Also, the pods, the clone Matthew McConaughey
you
pods.
Could just make the pods a little heavier.
Matthew McConaughey's dick weighs 400 pounds. You didn't know this?
Oh.
It's the perfect ballast.
Does he talk about that in his new book?
Yes. I think that was a Gabriel Iglesias bit. Like, I used to watch Gabriel Iglesias in middle school because he was the shit, apparently. I thought fat jokes are funny. And yeah, he was talking about how he was on Magic Mike, and I think someone, like, they were on an island that didn't have toilets and stuff, and so he was peeing, like, because there was no toilets or anything, just, like, in a bush, and then another guy came up, unzipped, pulled out the biggest penis Gabriel Iglesias had ever seen in his entire life, and he was like, normally I wouldn't do this, but I just felt compelled, so I looked up, and what do I see? And he was like, I hear, all right. That was his big closer. It was the big thing. Matthew McConaughey has a big dick. That's the
joke.
That's the crowd bringer down.
I'm fat, and Matthew McConaughey has a big dick. Please clap.
Please clap.
I was about to say that every time the pods ejected, if an ad for a Lincoln commercial would play. But, before we get back into all that nonsense, here we are on the first episode of the Voluntary Viewing Podcast of 2021. Voluntary Viewing, episode 125, recorded on January 3rd, 2021. On the podcast today, we have a man who survived 2020 in spite of, or perhaps because of, the darkness inside of him, Andrew Clark.
I have something within me that sometimes just comes out. I can't tell you what causes it. Only that I was a sniper before becoming a hitman, and now I want to be an actor.
I love the intros where we're like, it's 50-50. I don't even know who it's going to be. Which one of us is Lucas referencing?
Well, okay, Lucas does not come up with these intros to like actually describe some part of us.
Sure.
He could say it for anything.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you're right, Andrew.
You are correct. I put remarkably little forethought into this.
Well, you didn't think about me? What the fuck is wrong with you?
Wow.
I'm gonna go kill you.
Jesus.
Can't win. Darkness.
My old friend.
Also on the pod.
You can't lock me up. Sorry.
Also on the podcast today, we have a man who was made stronger by 2020. Please stop praying for him. He is too strong now. Ryan Holtz.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Except for degenerative conditions and various severe injuries that last the rest of your life.
And most things that almost kill you.
Yeah, most things that do 99% of the job do not make you much stronger, do they? But mentally, I'm more mentally strong. My mental strength that I've gained outweighs the physical strength I've lost.
No, you lose.
But also usually not even that.
Or like severe, brain damage.
No, you lose like minus 30 physical defense, but you gain like plus 50 psychic defense.
Yeah. But seriously, how many people that have gone through like severely traumatic or like near fatal events have come out and be like, yeah, man, I like wake up early every morning now. I I stopped drinking caffeine. I go to the gym at least 4 times a week. Yeah, things are just great for me.
Isn't it always the opposite? Like Phineas Gage, the guy that had the goddamn railroad spike driven through his skull.
I was just talking about that yesterday.
Everyone talks about Phineas Gage. He's the fucking coolest random psychology story that's ever happened. He was apparently a giant asshole after he had the spike driven through his skull.
Yeah.
He was like a really nice, just well-mannered guy before the spike, and then became a piece of shit.
What if he wasn't, though? What if it was one of those things where... like when the school shooter, everyone's saying like, oh man, he was like so quiet and mild-mannered beforehand. What if he was just always an alcoholic asshole and no one thought anything of it? And then he had a hole blown out the back of his head the size of a shotgun blast because of a railroad spike, and then he continued to be an asshole. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh, this is when I started to notice it.
Yeah. It absolutely, and it could just be apocryphal. Like it could just be like, oh man, let's he was always a dickhead. Let's find a way to make it about the fact that, he had a traumatic injury that no one should have been able to survive.
And was just physiologically fine.
More or less.
Afterwards.
And then last but not least is me, Lucas DeRuyter, a man who survived 2020, which means I probably can't die.
Scientific evidence would suggest that we will not die, because we have not died, and there has been no evidence provided to the alternative. So,
well, I mean, if you look on average, every year that we've lived so far, we've died 0 times each year, which means that on any given year we average 0 deaths.
Right. Yeah.
So, statistically, we will never die during the course of a year.
Yeah. We'll do some COVID deniers math, and like every given year, what % of people die? Oh, only 2%? Well, then I don't give a fuck. I'll be fine then. I'll be cool forever, because every year it's only a 2% chance.
And then before we get too deep into the show, I just want to shout out formally that I was on the Suuuper Anime Podcast that released on Christmas Eve, actually in December. Please check that out. I had a wonderful time. It is a terrific host. Thank you again for having me, and we will link that down below in the notes of this episode. Was really great being on a podcast where I can talk about anime and manga that isn't Chainsaw Man. Andrew, I know it's your favorite manga, but you can check out something else. Like we can talk about other stuff.
I have no words. None.
Because you're saving them all for News of the Week. Anything happen in video games, television, and film. Anything at all.
What a great podcast we've got here, boys.
It was like the week of, like, nothing happens the week between Christmas and New Year's. Like, what? Everybody's on vacation, justifiably.
Yeah.
Top thing on Polygon right now is their most anticipated games of 2021. We can't vamp off of that.
In TV news, a lot of TV production in Los Angeles is shutting down again due to COVID. Like, they've basically said, like, yeah, we're going to push everything back because the LA County Health Board was like, hey, you guys, can you not, like, maybe, I know you're on hiatus because it's Christmas time. Like, could you maybe just do that for a little longer?
Stay that way.
Push it out another week or two.
And
dude,
everyone
I'd fucking love that if that happened with my job. Hey, Andrew, you're on vacation. Could you just stay on vacation? Just don't come back.
I'm not sure how the payment situation is going, and that is the thing. And last time, it was a 2-week shutdown, and it went for months. So I'm getting ready for that. And everything's going to fall apart. So that's what's happening in TV.
What are you talking about? TV's indestructible. It can't die.
I mean, TV is indestructible. the companies that make up TV are not. Each individual company is very much destructible.
Boy,
you can't kill me. I'm a bad bitch.
Andrew, you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever sounds
I said
made reacting to what you were saying were definitely us reacting to what you were saying.
All I said was, you can't kill me, I'm a bad bitch. And then
the internet
everyone's faces stopped moving. I thought it was just really so unfunny that you guys just froze for a second.
You know what? I, for one, am looking forward to the next seasons of NCIS and SWAT being animated. I'm sure that crossover episode is going to have a lot of potential. Really go wild with it.
Yeah. What if TV just gets animated for a little bit? I'm sure that those companies have the infrastructure for that. And the talent.
They can work on that budget and timetable, no problem.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, animation's very cheap, especially compared to procedural cop shows.
Animation is very cheap, especially compared to anything else. Oh, damn it. Yeah.
Now harmonize. Yeah. Okay. There's no one else there.
I couldn't harmonize on what you're doing.
All three of us said yeah, and then I said now harmonize. And...
God
damn it.
Sorry.
This is what happens when we take a week off. We're out of sync.
Rusty, gotta...
Hopefully unlike the Packers after their first round bye.
Oh!
Hey. Our first round bye, where we will probably end up playing the Buccaneers.
Who knows?
We can beat Brady.
Yeah.
We'll play the lowest seed.
Which would almost certainly be the Bucs. I mean...
Why?
like,
you think?
Well, no. I'm like, that's just how I, like, what my predictions are.
That's just
like,
how you see the world.
Well,
why will it almost certainly be the Bucs? It could be literally 4 different teams.
It could be any of the other teams. Like that. Yeah. That is true. I don't see the Rams beating the Saints, and I don't see the I guess I don't know what the other matchup is.
The football team or / the New York Giants, whoever's still left.
Whoever they are playing the Bucs. And then who are the Seahawks playing? Why is my brain blanking out on this?
The 7 is the Bears.
The Bears. Okay.
I feel like there's literally 4 teams we could possibly play, and I wouldn't be shocked if it was any of them.
No. And we're gonna beat them all. Packers going all the way this year. Calling it.
100 years. Green Bay Packers football.
100 years of Lambeau.
We'll never lose another game.
Yeah. You're going to have to come through fucking Lambeau Field in the snow. We can throw in the snow now, motherfuckers.
Look out.
Get ready for that shit.
Yeah, that's a thing that we can do, apparently.
Yeah.
That was pretty fucking crazy to see the other night.
So, I don't know. I'm definitely cautiously optimistic. I'm a little worried because of the last 2 times we've had that first round bye. We've come out super fucking rusty, but that was always with Mike McCarthy.
Right.
And I definitely have more faith in Matt LaFleur, given how he's coached the first 2 seasons. So, who knows, man?
Aaron Rodgers, a man so angry he is unaffected by weather.
His hatred keeps him warm.
His hatred for the Packers is what keeps the Packers alive. That was definitely one of my favorite moments of Gridiron Heights this season. Aaron Rodgers skiing down the hill in the MVP race. He's like, remember what's motivating you, Aaron. And then it's just the Packers drafted a quarterback instead of a wide receiver. It's like, screw the Packers. I'm going to show them who's boss by winning them a lot of games.
Yeah. I saw someone that was talking about, because like now there's rumors that Carson Wentz is demanding a trade, basically. Someone made this fucking golden tweet, And honestly, I should probably do it justice and find the actual tweet because it made me really sad and like also like it was a good tweet.
You ever read a tweet so good you have to say it verbatim?
Yeah. I don't want to sum it up because it was a good one. It was a good one,
mm-hmm.
And now I have to scroll for a while.
Lucas, vamp.
Oh god, the next thing on the news is sad, so I'm going to skip over that one so we don't lose the tone. Brian David Gilbert released his final unraveled video for Polygon and finally answered the question, which Pokemon is the most edible?
Which one is it?
Togepi.
Togepi.
Not Slowpoke?
No, Togepi. It's a fucking egg. You can do anything with it.
It's not an egg, though. It has an animal in it.
Yeah, it's
the
an
egg
It
Pokemon.
would be like
I'm assuming the inside of that guy is egg.
Well, just because it came out of one, it's clearly wearing the shell as if it were clothes. Like I don't think the shell is like a turtle shell. It is an eggshell that it just has on.
It's not the eggshell Pokemon. It is the egg Pokemon.
Yeah, but it's got an animal in it. It's not.
Yeah, like it has arms and legs and a
egg.
head poking out of this cracked shell. It is clearly not like egg on the inside, just because it was born from one. I mean, lots of things are born from eggs. They don't stay like that. Can you imagine if you cracked open like an alligator and it just was an egg? Yeah, not a good thought. Now I am making you think it because it happened into my brain.
This happened to me, and now it must happen to you.
My mind went to you somehow kill an alligator, which props to you, and then you cut it open and it's just all eggs on the inside.
Oh, that's worse, I think.
Yeah. That does feel significantly worse. I'm not a fan. I cannot find this tweet.
Oh.
But basically, in lieu of the Carson, or not in lieu, that's a terrible. I don't know. I was trying to sound smart. Matthew Stafford, or it was about Matthew Stafford saying like, today Matthew Stafford will suit up for a meaningless game against the Minnesota Vikings, playing through broken ribs and like a damaged hand. And this man has literally never done anything but like treat the Lions well. The GM and next head coach will decide his fate with the Lions. He has never demanded a trade once. Just like this man has done nothing but give to the franchise. Yeah, and now they might be cutting him loose because there's something in there that they might do better. I don't know. It's pretty brutal.
Yeah. The Lions have definitely not been good enough for Matthew Stafford. I'm not going to say that Matthew Stafford is like one of the best quarterbacks of his generation, but he is very, very good. And he has been hurt a lot. And he has been on a team that he has always been the best player on that team.
That's not true. Megatron.
Oh, okay.
Literally,
I forgot that there was overlap there.
There was a ton.
Forgot.
Megatron's whole career.
I know. Like I forgot about Megatron.
Oh, that's fair.
Yeah. You know what? If there were a football player that could turn into a gun, then yeah, that would probably be the best football player.
That's an SNL sketch with Steve Martin, and it was like they were going back to old NFL highlights, and they were like, some of these kids, they don't remember some of the greats. Let's talk about Jimmy the Gun Smith, and it's Steve Martin, and they're like, man, the gun, that man, no one wanted to tackle him because he brought a gun on the field. And it's just an old-timey picture of like a leather-headed football player holding the ball, and he's just pointing a gun at the dude, like. And it's all these like they dress them up as like old men, like old football players, and it's just like Gary Ross played from 1942 till 1949 for the Baltimore Colts, and he's just like, the gun, no one got in the way of the gun. Like it's just like it's a pretty great documentary. So yeah, that's the bit. Megatron spent his whole career, other than his rookie year, his rookie year, he was on the 0-16 Lions, which enabled them to draft Matthew Stafford at number 1 overall. And then basically the rest of his career was just Matthew Stafford saying, "Fuck it, Megatron is down there somewhere."
Yeah.
And it, by and large, working pretty well.
Yeah.
Name, bro.
In the grand scheme of things, they made the playoffs multiple times.
I am going to put this ball in the area of a 7-foot tall man.
That man is 10 feet tall and runs a 3.5 40-yard dash.
Yeah.
He's around there somewhere.
He's got 12 defensive backs on him right now. On his back, literally forming a World War Z ladder on top of him. He still caught the ball.
Yeah.
If I throw it high enough, there's just nothing the defense can do.
Yeah. There's so many famous pictures, and like it goes into like the whole, because now people are talking about, oh, DeAndre Hopkins, most dominant receiver we've ever seen, blah blah blah, after he caught that Hail Mary, and someone was like, let me know when this happens to D-Hop, and they show the picture of Calvin Johnson, and there are 2 defensive backs lined up in man coverage. Like they're not just doubling him with like a safety and a corner bracketing him. They just put 2 corners on 1 receiver. They're literally just like, no, you cannot throw to this man. And he would still do it sometimes. He would still make catches against 2 people covering him in man. It was insane. So yeah, I mean, by and large, Stafford's either the best or the second best, but poor guy. What can you do?
And then the only other piece of news that I prepared, the mangaka who assaulted 2 middle school girls, Tatsuya Matsuki, was convicted and sentenced to a 1.5 years in jail, but had his sentence suspended. So he won't serve time so long as he displays good behavior for the next 3 years.
So I'm sitting there like, what the fuck is a suspended sentence? I've heard this before. What's the difference between that and probation, basically?
I think they're synonymous.
Oh, they're the same thing? Okay, that's fine.
I mean, difference.
I think probation. I think the only difference is that like one goes through like a parole board. It's like people that like weigh like basically decide like, oh, this guy is eligible for parole or probation based on these criteria in his sentence. We're going to decide if he is. I think a suspended sentence has something to do with one person is making that call.
I could have sworn though that probation like sometimes is a sentence handed down by a judge.
Yeah.
Like they'll just say 2 years probation, 100 hours of community service. That's
sorry. I meant to say parole, not probation.
Yeah. No, I'm saying what's the difference between probation and a suspended
sentence?
sentence?
From parole.nevada.gov, probation is the term used to describe offenders that have been convicted of an offense but whose prison sentence is suspended.
It's the same thing.
Yes.
Fair enough.
They're synonymous.
They are not even synonymous. Okay. They're just different words for the exact same concept. Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
But also, fuck this guy. And fuck the Japanese justice system for... Yeah.
For saying that suspended sentence instead of probation. Yeah. That's why fuck the Japanese system of justice. Probation is the real term. We know it. Goddamn, I don't know if this is dark or not.
Why have a 99% conviction rate if you're not going to give people actual sentences?
Because that's how you get a 99% conviction rate.
Yeah.
Also fair.
You get people to not fight it as hard because they know at the end of the day the consequences they're facing aren't really that dire.
Oh man, I raped 2 girls. I guess I will go on house arrest for a couple of weeks. Cool.
Sexually assaulted, but also doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
To be fair, it was simply sexual assault.
Look, I'm the one who Patreon fund... My checking account is the one Patreon funds go to, so if we get hit for libel, that is on me.
I don't know if that's how that works.
Also, libus is not a word.
Libel? Committing libel?
Libel. Yeah.
Well, libus activity.
Wouldn't it be libelous?
That doesn't sound right.
I actually think it might be libus. Like libous.
No. I see libelous. When you type libus, it corrects to libelous.
Libel. Ugh. I I do not like that word. Not like how that feels in my mouth.
I think
To be fair,
libus doesn't sound very good.
either.
Fair.
Yeah, libus sounds like you're
Libelous.
libelous. I mean, we don't have, even if it wasn't, I think we don't have an like LLC or anything. So
Yeah, so we have no
I don't-
protection. So they just take us for
Yeah.
like what we're worth.
well, you're saying we, but you think that just your checking account is the one that somehow is going to be gone after? If anything, I think it'd be Andrew because he said it.
Fair.
Ha ha ha.
Lawyer up, Andrew.
Yeah,
No.
Andrew.
I will represent myself.
Ah, that's always good for a meme. When the serial killers want to defend themselves because really all they want to do is just like dick around because they know they're going to jail for the rest of their life or getting executed.
Andrew, you might be turned into a Rick and Morty animatic.
Yeah. He wasn't defending himself though. He was
That's
just
fair.
Yeah.
he was just going off on this judge.
And his lawyer.
I mean, he was making some claims about that lawyer, and I don't know if we can just ignore them outright.
All right. I think that sends us into the meme corner.
The memes.
Can any of you explain what the fuck Bean Dad is?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
not seen this.
Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Ooh.
I've been
Ooh,
incommunicado for the last few days. Bean Dad.
Good for you.
It was either late last night or early this morning because it was the first thing I saw trending on Twitter when I woke up this morning. Well, I mean, technically, the phrase that was trending was "she's 9," which usually it's going to be bad. This was bad for reasons I didn't expect. This dude on Twitter, I forget his name. I'll find it in a little bit. Wrote this super long thread about how good of a dad he was because the story basically went, I was working on a jigsaw puzzle and my 9-year-old daughter came in and she's like, Dad, I'm hungry. And basically was like, can't you see I'm busy? Make yourself some food. And she's like, okay, I don't know how to cook. And then he's like, well, make yourself some beans. And she's like, again, I don't know how to cook beans. Like, you just heat it up. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, I don't know how to open this can of beans. And then he's like, are you serious? You don't know how to open up a can of beans? He's like, and I took this as an opportunity as a doomsday dad. Like, which he's not a doomsday prepper. He's just like, apocalypse dad. Haha, I teach my kids useful skills. And he's like, okay, this is a can opener. This is a can. Open it. And she's like, I don't know how to do this. I'm 9. And then proceeded to force her to try to open the can for like 6 hours, where she would then get frustrated and go do something else. And he's like, I'm not making you food until you open up that can of beans. And she's like, I almost got it figured out, but I just can't physically get this can of beans open. And he's like, too bad, so sad. And she like finally got it open and was able to cook herself the can of beans. He's like, man, I am a good dad. And I'm telling all of the internet how good of a dad I am.
I said, the tool is made to be pleasing, but it doesn't have any superfluous qualities. Everything that moves does so for a reason. She said, I hate you. That's a golden tweet. How do you write that and then still want to end it with, man, I'm a great dad, aren't I?
That thread is like, it's really long.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
many
reading it.
tweets. And he wrote every single one of them. And then once it was all done, decided, this is a thing that I still want to put out into the world.
Why wouldn't you just fucking teach them?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? That would be a great dad. If she was like, hey, can you make me some food? And you said, why don't you make yourself some baked beans? And she said, okay, I don't know how to open the can. And you said, I'll show you, and then you can make yourself baked beans. That sounds like a great dad. Why the fuck are you just like, you figure it out?
What if Jesus was like, I'm just going to give a guy a fishing pole. Let him figure it out.
Yeah.
Jesus, this is like 20 AD. I I don't know how this reel works.
Yeah.
He's like, every piece of this pole has a meaningful use. Nothing is superfluous. He's like, okay, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
I hate you,
This
Jesus.
fishing pole is meant to
I
be
hate you.
Jesus on the Sermon of the Mount. Like when, because the tweet is, Jesus Christ. Yeah. She brought it to me and said, open it how? With a can opener, I said, incredulous. So, Jesus on the Sermon of the Mount. Jesus, we don't have enough food. Like, all we have is these
then get
10
some.
fish and 15 pieces of bread. Well, double it, I said, incredulous.
You give a man a fish, he eats for a day. You teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. You tell a man to go get a fish, maybe he'll get one.
Maybe he'll starve to death. Yeah. Also, it's a
It's
full-grown adult
a good
you're
teaching
talking
moment,
about.
one way or another.
Yeah. This is a full-grown adult you're talking about, not a 9-year-old. Who he, at multiple times, says 9-year-old.
Yeah.
And also, this fucking dude is apparently a co-host of a podcast with Ken Jennings.
Yeah, no, I saw that. I clicked on this dude's profile and I saw Ken Jennings right away. I'm like, ooh.
Ken Jennings defends Bean Dad, his podcast co-host, as, quote, loving and attentive. This site is so dumb, Jeopardy Champ says a viral story about John Roderick, who also deleted his Twitter account Sunday.
I did not realize things had progressed that far.
Oh,
Ken
yeah.
fucking Jennings recently had to issue like a like things are about to get bad for me apology. Let me find this fucking tweet that he had in the past.
Yeah.
About fucking people in wheelchairs.
That Ken Jennings made?
Yes. Ken Jennings tweeted this in 2014 that said, "Nothing sadder than a hot person in a wheelchair."
Fuck you, Ken Jennings.
What the hell?
Jesus Christ, you ableist piece of shit.
That's like, so I was saying this to Ian, because like, Ian was the first person to kind of like explain the concept of ableism to me, because I'd never really come across it, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Some of that stuff seems like, you know, it's definitely pushing some of the boundaries of what I think might be like legitimate gripes and everything like that, but like, the core of it makes sense. This feels like the N-word of ableism.
Yeah.
Like, he's just literally like, you were attractive once, and you are no longer attractive because you're in a wheelchair. And also, like, it's so fucking gross. And, oh my god. So basically, Yvette Nicole Brown is the one that brought it back to, like, the forefront of public discourse, because she was talking about how, like, because he was named as the temporary host of Jeopardy for now, like, it kind of on a trial run. Like, it seemed obvious that he was going to be the heir apparent to Alex Trebek after his untimely death. So, yeah, then she basically tweeted that and was just like, I don't know. This tweet has been up for 6 years and he's never deleted it.
No, that not even upon learning that like he was going to do Jeopardy as the Jeopardy host position as a trial run. Nobody thought, or that didn't go off to him that maybe he should take that down.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then he did the whole, like, oh, man. Oh, so this is what he said, by the way, to kind of, like, try to get ahead of it in a weird way before it blew up. Hey, this is how he opened his tweet. Hey, I just wanted to own up to the fact that over the years on Twitter, I've definitely tweeted some unartful and insensitive things. Sometimes they worked as jokes in my head, and I was dismayed to see how they read on screen.
Also, this Roderick guy, something I saw earlier, it was like, maybe these were the tweets that Ken Jennings were talking about. They weren't even his.
Yeah.
It was this Roderick dude. He said some bad shit. Like, Ken
really?
Jennings made some, what were, like, you know, super ableist, super fucked up things that I can't even call them jokes, but, like, you get what I'm going for right now. Mm-hmm. And this dude basically just, he was like, all judges are Jews, and they're protecting mud people.
What?
And It was bad. I don't even want to read it verbatim because it was really fucked up.
Jesus Christ. How did they not find this? How did they not find this shit before giving him the Jeopardy gig?
Well, no.
This wasn't what Ken Jennings said.
Well,
This
no,
what
but
Gene
it's
Dan
like,
said.
oh, hey, this guy Jennings has been on a podcast with for... See, I know you can't do guilt by association, but it's like, oh boy, if this is who Jennings is hanging out with, it's only a matter of time before things get weird. And things have gotten weird.
Ken Jennings also tweeted, what's it called? After... Jesus Christ, Ken Jennings, you are something. In 2015, after a terminally ill Star Wars fan died after seeing an early screening of Star Wars Force Awakens, Ken wrote, "It can't be a good sign that every fan who has seen the new Star Wars movie died shortly thereafter."
Oh, no.
Bro.
That's...
How are you that insensitive? Like, good God, man. People talk about how James Holzhauer is kind of like... like he clearly has like some something socially going on with him. Like he doesn't seem to adapt to social cues as well as some people. And Ken Jennings is like more with it. I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you run through that in your head and not understand the problem with that?
Here's the problem with what you said. The whole thing.
Yeah.
That is maybe okay as like a joke about a fictional situation on a sitcom. That is a real human life, and if you can't understand why that's not okay, I genuinely question your ability to empathize.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, I got a lot of these. He's got a lot of interesting tweets. He's got a lot of Hitler tweets. Mm-hmm. A lot of rape tweets, anti-Semitic tweets.
The Roderick dude.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Yeah, and that's the thing is, if Ken Jennings was on the podcast with this dude, and, maybe this dude had said some, like, questionable things that are veiled terms for, something incredibly racist, and then he went in and defended him, that would be bad enough. But this dude is putting out into the open that he is just a awful human being, not like this is a dude with bad opinions, like he's going to hell, just a fucked up piece of shit. And Ken Jennings is like, he's a good guy though. I've never seen him abuse his daughter.
Yeah. I mean, it's just everything gets put in a different light when you learn more information. Like, are these almost certainly his attempts at jokes? Sure. Are they fucking beyond the pale? Yeah, man, they are.
All right, so
you might get away with it if you don't have all this other stuff going against you right now.
I'm putting myself in Ken Jennings' headspace. He realizes he's not funny, so he just tries to be shocking. And then it just piles up, and how much of this is his actual beliefs is the issue that happens when there's just so much of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of, what's his name? Guardians of the Galaxy.
Chris Pratt.
James Gunn.
Oh, okay.
James Gunn, like in his tweets that resurfaced, and it was just like, yeah, they're fucking problematic. Yeah. And if James Gunn was accused of like possession of child pornography or something, it would shed new light on some of these old tweets that were clearly really shitty jokes. Like,
that fucking reminded me of another news story I didn't think to put on here.
That's fun.
The English translator for the manga series, which was recently adapted into a very popular anime, Jujutsu Kaisen, was arrested on possession and distribution of child pornography. So, what a gem of an industry.
Seems to be a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
Why would they tend towards that industry? I can't imagine why. Oh, 1,000-year-old dragons. Lucas, do you need to go on another run where you self-discover why you love anime and manga?
That is actually a brilliant transition, Ryan, as we head into the breakouts. And no, I do not, because we are at the end. We just finished Q4 2020, which means it is time for another of Lucas's anime and manga roundups.
I thought you already did this in the top 10s.
It didn't play.
What? I was on.
It's not playing.
No! You're letting me down, soundboard! Come on! Making me look like an idiot!
Yeah,
there we go. I'll fix it in post. Even compressed, that was a bop.
I didn't see that coming. We wouldn't have normally seen the soundboard. We would have been like, why'd it get really quiet all of a sudden? But now we've got video!
Yes!
And I'm lightheaded from the intense headbanging I was doing.
I think it would have been funnier without video, because Lucas would have said, it's time for my 2020 anime roundup, and then just 30 seconds of silence.
Yeah. As we all struggle. I forget about this segment every fucking year.
Oh, no, I'm not doing like full 2020. I'm doing just the fall season of 2020. You guys will be caught off guard again by this.
Yeah, no, Lucas does this 4
April.
times a year.
Yeah.
And we forget about it every time.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
Well, it's about to be. It's about to be true.
Oh, I see. Oh, is this one of those times where you guys are going to fucking gaslight me into... No, this segment's totally a thing that we do all the time. And
I think Lucas has forgotten to do it a couple of times.
Okay.
Lucas definitely presents it as like this is the roundup from the previous financial quarter.
I mean, I'm not going to lie. This year's spring, not a lot going on by my recollection. Maybe it would have been a waste of time to talk about it on the podcast. Yeah.
Actually, I think you did something like that at the end of the spring, like beginning of summer. You're like, yeah, I know I got to do my, spring roundup, not a whole lot going on. This one's okay. Rest of them were shit. All right, moving on.
So I'm at least...
You still felt so obligated to do it.
I'm at least 3 in a row then. Fantastic.
I swear to God, I don't know this segment at all. I really think this podcast is going to end and you guys are going to be like, yeah, Ryan, like that's the bit, is that Lucas doesn't do this, but he wants it to like seem like he does it a lot. So like it's a real segment and our viewers don't get whiplash.
Dude, I gotta keep face. I gotta keep face in the biz. First thing to talk about, a series called Burn the Witch from the guy who made the very popular series Bleach. It's bad.
Wasn't Bleach bad?
Have you ever seen something where the guy thinks it's going to be super progressive if he has 2 empowered women as the leads, but then has no idea how to write women? This is that. If you want to see something like that, this is that.
You just described anime. You're like, these women are strong and powerful because they have weapons. I don't know who women are.
It's weird. The main male character is just objectifying one of the female characters constantly, and there's a predatory lesbian character. So keeping that trope alive, and it sucks. Actually, my favorite anime, I think, of this past season that I think you guys might actually enjoy is a series called Talentless Nana. And it is basically the, second and third episode of the first season of The Boys where they are trying to figure out how to kill this character with superpowers, but that's the entire show. And
it's a fun concept.
It's a lot of
That's
fun.
it. That's the show.
Yeah, it's good.
That's
pitching
it.
it.
That's the tweet.
Yeah, they're just pitching it to executives, and they're using that. And
Have
that's
you ever
it.
seen The Boys? Yes. You seen the second and third episode? Yeah. Okay, what if that was an anime?
Yeah.
One of the guy's superpowers is that he is immortal, and the main character is just like, well, shit, I don't really know what to do now. Didn't think we would get here, but okay.
What does that even mean? He's immortal, like
No, I can't die.
like invulnerable too?
Yeah.
How does that even work?
Like, she tried to blow him up, and then he just, like, healed back to normal, totally fine, a minute later.
Oh, like he blows up and then like comes back together.
So
Yes.
so he's Deadpool.
Yes, Deadpool powers.
Okay.
Dragon Quest anime, pretty fun, very cartoony. I'm enjoying it, mostly because it's a cool thing that looks like Dragon Quest. Jujutsu Kaisen, definitely going to be the big anime of this season, going to the next one as well, based on a popular Jump series that fucking better be getting a new translator soon. It's good. It's darker than the average series. Also read ahead on the manga with this one, and I'm all caught up, and I dislike how there was... Manga is slowly making the shift towards like what the American comic industry is, kind of, where you need to be aware of like a bunch of other series for anything happening in a given series to make sense. And that's what's happening in Jujutsu Kaisen, and I'm not a fan of it. Otherwise, pretty good if it's also starting to reach the problem a lot of long-running manga do, where the stakes between the hero and villain are just not feeling personal anymore. Outside of that, though, Chainsaw Man ended. And Andrew, I'm never going to tell you that the last chapter of Chainsaw Man was pretty great, because that is the ending ritual that I had for a long time whenever a chapter of Chainsaw Man came out, and if I never finish that off, I can just pretend like this is still happening.
I think you did send me that it was pretty great.
Nope,
though.
I did not.
Yeah.
No, not in our
This is
messages.
easily verifiable.
Not in there.
I will say this: last issue of Chainsaw Man, pretty good. It was a pretty good way of ending the series.
The first part, at least.
And it's done. It's done. it's done, and that's it. What's dead may always stay dead.
Apparently the next part is going to focus on him being in high school also, and I'm a little worried about that, because a lot of series either depict high school as being the best experience in somebody's life or the worst, and I hope Chainsaw Man is able to be more nuanced than that, but I'm confident that it will be. One Piece had its 1000th chapter, which was pretty great. A lot of fun. Actually, I had a Shueisha rep reach out to me to write an article about the fucking campaign that they're doing for that, and I did, and that's neat. That's neat that people are contacting me with press release stuff. And then also the My Hero Academia manga just finished a major arc. It tried to do the thing where, like, oh man, a bunch of people died, and that means the stakes have raised. But of the dozen people that died, you only know the name of, like, one character. It's really bad.
Cool.
Yeah.
On top of just the general propaganda and other issues with this series, it is way more interested in giving abusers redemption arcs than exploring the processes of recovery of the people that they abused. And that is kind of fucked up. And that is the end for the Fall 2020 Lucas Anime and Manga Roundup. Now back to our regularly scheduled podcast. Seriously? Just... Oh.
What the fuck was that?
The Dio, Zawirldo from JoJo's. I found out the issue. I can't have my phone on silent when I use soundboard. That's the thing.
That makes sense, I feel like.
Right? I mean, but like videos play on silent, so you would think MP3s would also, but whatever. Whatever. All right, I've talked enough. What are you guys checking out?
Cyberpunk's very good for those who can play it, which I am.
All right. How's it good? What do you like about it?
Yeah, it's fun. Quests are well written. Characters are interesting. The gameplay presents you with a lot of different options. A bunch of different play styles. Driving is pretty fun.
What is
Jade and I can play it together because we both really, really like playing this game.
What is the most fun quest you and Jade have done in this game so far?
Well, so like the most challenging quest that we did so far, that was like the most rewarding, like when we finally got through it, was like a quest that it was like, yeah, you can go in guns a-blazing, but you don't want to because then, you know, like this guy we're trying to save who's being held captive, like they may kill him, so do whatever you can to, you know, be quiet. And I think I looked it up and you could have like gone loud anyway, but I wasn't sure. But so we snuck through the whole level and we died a lot because we got found a lot. And Jade ended up just kind of like taking the controller from me and she's like, fine, I'll do it myself. And then did like a whole bunch of hacking to like distract people and like turn off the cameras and make people go blind and shit. And then finally reached the end. And then it was like, oh man, we're going to have to go through that whole thing, like with this guy on our back to escape. And she's like, no. And she like found a secret alternative route and got us out of there.
How far into the game are you? Like, have you guys seen the title card yet?
Yeah. The title card is like the prologue is like 3-4 hours long.
All right.
We have played this game a lot.
So you are, by my understanding, then you are now hanging out with Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Okay.
Keanu Reeves is our like buddy. He's just kind of there.
How well performed is his character Johnny Silverhands? It was my understanding.
Not good. the character of Johnny Silverhand, at least so far, is interesting. We've purposefully avoided doing that much of the main story content. I think we're about a third of the way through the main story. If the general structure is presented the way that I think it is. Mm-hmm. Because there's like 3 main quests within the main story and we've done one of them and then a bunch of side missions and shit. But like his character is interesting with like what we found out about him so far. He's so flat. Like Keanu has played him so monotone. Mm-hmm. And it's just gravelly and kind of angry the whole time, but never like raising or lowering that level of angry. No matter what he's saying, it's always the same. God damn it, V, what are you doing?
How?
This guy looks like bad news, V. What the fuck, V?
How often does he call you Samurai?
I think he's only called me Samurai once.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was given a different impression online. And then you had said in our group chat that you were frustrated by Alana Pierce being in the game, but barely?
Yeah, so Alana Pierce's quest, Alana, of IGN and former Funhouse, and now I guess an employee of Sony Santa Monica fame. She's like, yeah, no, like I got mocapped, I recorded a bunch of lines, whatever. She's only available in the Nomad life origin, whatever, because there's 3 of them, which give you different options in the game, and then also the prologue is completely different depending on what you do. But and that happened to be the one that Jade and I chose. Mm-hmm. And it's literally just at some random point you'll get a ping on your phone that says that your old car that you junked, like, hey, this was your car a long time ago, it's running now, what the fuck? And you like find it on the GPS and you go to a junkyard, and then Alana Pierce is there and she's like, this is my car now. And you're like, no, it's mine. And she's like, but it was junked and I fixed it. And you're like, okay, you can have it. And she's like, thanks. And that's it.
I was really hoping you were going to tell me Alana Pierce in this game was a Kit from Knight Rider situation.
No.
That would have been awesome.
That would have been fun. That would have been more interesting. There is no quest to be had. It's one conversation. That's it.
Have you looked into it where you dialogued out of it maybe? Where if you said, no, it's not your car, then you have to like do a race with her or something to keep it?
I don't think so.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're having a fun time with that and have the technology to have a fun time with that. Ryan.
I do want to say, while we have not faced many like actual glitches, there's only been like one or two glitches that have like interfered with what we're doing, and they haven't broken the game. And then like a couple of glitches where like some random spots throughout the map, cars just keep slamming into a wall. They go through it, their cars get destroyed on the other end, but the cars in traffic keep going through that spot for some reason. I've seen that glitch a bunch online. So like that doesn't really interfere with the game. It's just kind of weird. The game does crash. Every couple of hours of gameplay, the game will just crash. It has never crashed during a quest so far. It's always been, you're just driving somewhere and then it just shuts off. And it auto-saves so frequently that once you get the game back, you never end up losing any progress. But still, like that is frustrating.
Some of my top games ever, I think, have crashed on me, and like that's fine. I get that can happen sometimes, whatever. But though in those games that happened once.
It's a regular occurrence.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
It's every couple of hours. Also, I think we made this joke in the podcast. I think, Ryan, you may have been the one that actually made this joke. The prologue does literally look better than the rest of the game. The Cyberpunk on the PS5 is a pretty good looking game. The colors, the lighting, the character models, all that shit looks pretty good. The prologue looks really good. And the rest of the game after the prologue just looks pretty good.
All right.
So it is literally like they just didn't, like they got to a certain point. They're like, all right, time to cut some corners.
Yeah, like would they have been memed a lot if they would have been like, guys, look, this is terrible. Like we hate that this happened. It's really not done, and we cannot give you an unfinished product. We're gonna take another year, and honestly, we're not putting a date on it at this point. And it's probably going to come out on next gen.
They would have been memed to hell.
Yeah.
But
imagine if it would have come out and been the masterpiece that everyone was expecting on PS5 and Xbox Series X. Like,
they wouldn't be facing a class action lawsuit.
No.
It would be a disappointment. People would be upset. And you'd have to refund all the pre-orders. But they'd be fine. The game would be coming out in about a year from now, and if it all looked as great as the prologue and played really well and all the bugs were fixed, can you imagine? Like, just saying. I'm just saying. It's that arbitrary setting the release date that always fucks them.
We are 100% done with 20% of this game. Time to ship. Let's get it out there.
I just don't... and I said this before. Why is it that for video games it feels like they set these release dates... just so far in advance before anything's even close to done? With movies, like, it's basically done. And then they set the release date. Like, they just have to wrap post-production, but, like, it's the small parts. Like, the movie is cut together, everything's set, now it's just time to get the final touches, release date. Why is it that it seems like in video games in particular, they do it so far out and then kill themselves to make it? And it's just like, why don't you almost finish it and then set the release date? There's nothing preventing that. So
very, very few people end up doing it that way. I mean, I remember it was like Fallout 4 and GTA 5 did that, where it's just like, here's your first look at this game. It's coming out in 4 months. Here's the release date. It's completely done.
And guess what happened when those games came out? Like, they were ready. Good. GTA 5 online had troubles, but that was just because of the fucking unprecedented mass of people
Yeah.
trying to play GTA Online. Like, but Fallout 4 came out and was done. Like, GTA 5 single player was absolutely done. Like, and that's, people are like now comparing them 1-to-1, and it does seem like GTA 5 is still a bigger scale than Cyberpunk 2077 at this point.
Yeah.
Like, at least in the sheer undertaking of creating the world.
Andrew, I know this is hard to ballpark, but do you think the level of unfinishedness can be explained away by COVID?
I really don't know. I mean, I have no idea how affected they were by COVID. I'm going to lean towards no, just because if it was COVID that was preventing them from getting this done, they would have done what the rest of the entertainment industry did and say, yeah, this shit's not going to work the way that you thought it would. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
It would have been the easiest excuse of all time, and they didn't really use it.
No.
Yeah, they didn't say this game is going to get pushed back 6 months. Or well, like they delayed the game by 3 months and then another month. Mm-hmm. They didn't say, like when Bond got delayed, they said, yeah, it's going to be a fucking while because of COVID and shit. You get it. You guys understand. It's going to be a while.
Yeah.
I feel like they would have just said, yeah, due to COVID-19 regulations and restrictions, we're not able to really work on this game in much of a capacity, so it's going to be a while. They didn't say that. I think it was just that they had a vision of what this game was going to be, which was going to look very good and have a ton of fucking options and shit. It was going to be really complex, and then they said, we have to make it like this, and then they just did not have the ability to do that, given the time frame that they had.
Which is just such a shame. I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't. Finish your game, then announce a date.
And this
unless you're going to do this stupid bullshit early access, which people do, and you always have that disclaimer of
this is a beta.
You can't complain because it's technically in early access. Which is Fortnite still in early access?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I was curious about that one. Will they make $1 trillion before it gets full release? Fortnite.
What incentive do they have of doing a full release?
Memes.
Okay. As of June 30th, Fortnite loses the early access label.
No, Fortnite.
What if they just abandon it after that? They stop supporting it?
Yeah.
Ryan,
people would have been upset. They would have been like, go back to early access. We want the beta.
We want Thanos in our game.
Yeah.
Ryan, what are you checking out?
I haven't been checking out much. Recently downloaded Snipper Clips.
Hell yeah.
On Switch, the classic co-op game. It's kind of fun.
Okay.
It's goofy. Yeah. It's very cute. Let's see, what else? We've been playing Monster Hunter, but that's, I'm guessing, group chat stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm playing Madden, but that's kind of group chat stuff. Media diet's been pretty shallow other than the stuff that I do with y'all, so yeah.
It's the holidays. Totally get that. Then before we move into the group chat, I will just say quickly, I have killed 2 bosses in Demon's Souls. Pretty good so far. I think. So, I haven't played any Dark Souls games. I played Bloodborne, though. And, well, the bosses in Bloodborne, you need to figure out what their deal is, and then also have a solid mastery of the mechanics. I think the bosses in Demon's Souls might just kind of be a little more gimmicky. Where, for the first boss I fought, the Phalanx, which was just a giant blob with smaller blobs that threw spears at you behind shields, I won that fight just by throwing firebombs at it. Just by, spamming firebombs. And then in the second boss fight against the Tower Knight, which is the, 30-foot tall dude in armor, I tried to like do what I thought the game wanted me to do, which was stab his ankles a bunch until he fell to the ground and then stab his torso and head. That didn't work well for me. So then from a perch, I just kind of spammed magic while dodging, like long-range magic while dodging his very telegraphed singular long-range attack. And that took maybe half an hour, but it kept working, so I kept doing it.
Oh man, I finally figured out the weaknesses to all of these Demon Souls bosses. It's taking damage.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have changed my loadout as I'm exploring the worlds of Demon Souls world, which is called Boletaria, which is just a great fake fantasy world name, in my opinion. Like that, I dig it. Demon Souls starts you with a weapon and then a shield, and then it kind of really incentivizes you to like figure out parrying and blocking and all of those mechanics, really opening up enemies to weakness. But I don't like that coming off of Bloodborne. So what I'm doing is I have a rapier in one hand and a fucking Harry Potter wand in the other hand. So then I am shooting a fucking laser beam made out of magic at these zombies, stunning them, and then poking them a couple times with my sword to knock them out. I'm having a great time with that. And then I'm just fucking dodge rolling whenever I'm about to get hit. It's working fine so far. I dig it. All right. We are now formally in the group chat. Instead of talking about the very difficult monsters I'm killing in Demon Souls, let's talk about the not that difficult monsters we're killing in Monster Hunter.
Oh, man. They're a good time.
Right.
It is a good time. You know what? Like, I'm enjoying myself playing this game.
Ryan playing with Andrew the
beat
other
up dinosaurs.
Ryan playing with Andrew the other day, I finally put on the cheat armor.
It's not cheat armor. They
Yeah.
give
A
it
little
to
cheat
you.
armor. A little bit.
Eventually it's gonna catch up, I'm
Oh,
assuming.
yeah.
Like, eventually we will level up to the point where we're facing monsters that it will not be cheat armor.
We maybe accidentally spawned one of those in the day you were playing, the day we were playing without you. It's called a Diabolos, and it is terrifying.
Yeah, it's huge. It's, Devil Dragon.
Yeah. Very scary.
Interesting.
We saw
I mean,
just
the
eat
Anjanath I felt like was pretty balanced.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fair fight.
Like, I felt like while we were fighting that,
Lucas,
people were fainting
we
and stuff.
did a quest where we were hunting an Anjanath, and Lucas died 3 times and made us fail the mission. So I finally made
that's
him put
when-
on the good armor.
Yeah.
Finally.
And then I cut off
Becky with the good armor.
its fucking tail. I didn't realize you could do that. I knew you could break shit, but I
really?
didn't know you could like maim them like that.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
So-
fuck them up.
We did a bunch of hunting in that session. We killed the Anjanath, T-Rex thing with wings a couple of times. We found like the little dragon guy. I say little, it's big. The Raytheon. Killed that a couple of times. Then we found a Rathalos, which is a bigger, more difficult version of the Raytheon. Beat the shit out of it. Lucas cut off its tail. We were doing mega damage, and then it just despawned. It like
flew
did the
away.
thing where it like left into its next stage, and it's like, oh, here it is, the final one, and it just said the Rathalos has left the area.
Oh. That's too
That
Nah.
bitch ass.
bad. Bitch ass. Does it have wings?
It has wings,
So that's accurate, though. Like,
right?
if a monster's getting stabbed over and over and over and over,
But
it's
so did
just
the
gonna
other
fly
ones.
away.
Like that happened with the other ones. Like they had wings.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
They should have flown away, too.
Yeah, no, they should have.
We can't fly.
If I was a monster getting hunted, I would simply leave.
Yeah, I would just not, because I have wings. I don't understand. And that's how it would happen in the wild, too. Yeah, it might fight for a while,
right?
But the fights sometimes take like 20 minutes. Eventually, it's just going to say, fuck it. It's not going to just fight until the bitter end. Like, if it had, like, its children with it or something, then it would at least be, like, somewhat realistic. But then you'd be killing the babies, which it's already sometimes pretty sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
What we're doing to some of the monsters. So.
Oh, God.
When the Anjanath and some of the other monsters will do a thing when you beat them up enough where they just, like, try to run away. They're limping.
Yeah.
You can hear them wheezing. Like, we punctured a lung. Their body is open in a way that it shouldn't be, and they just are afraid and want to get away. And we're like, no, get back here.
Yeah.
Get his ass, go.
It's probably crawling away to die.
Yeah.
Like, its wounds have reached a sufficient level. At the very least, they will become, like, horrendously infected, and it will die of something or another, or just bleed out in a hole somewhere. But we won't even give it that dignity. We want to kill it with a blow from a sharp object.
If this were actual hunting, we are well into the stage of, well, we just got to follow this thing now.
Yeah. It's going to bleed on the ground. We can follow the blood trail to wherever it chooses to die.
This is the part where Arthur Morgan goes, okay, boy, and then stabs it in the heart.
You were a good boy.
Yeah, so that's fun, and God, I worry how much I would struggle to play Monster Hunter World if it didn't have PlayStation 5 level load times.
It's true.
Yeah. And then Andrew, I'm still playing Bugsnax, still digging Bugsnax, and on some level, maybe this is the writing, maybe this is just my own personal life and it overlapping well with the writing, but I feel like I know all of these characters.
Yeah, they're all pretty believable for Muppet animal people.
Like, I don't know if they intentionally went for this, but Grampus the farmer and Triffany the archaeologist, husband and wife, that is just every couple that my parents knew growing up that was like 10 years older than my parents. I can hear this conversation in my head where Grampus says something like, yeah, no, keeping really busy this summer. Yeah, farm, super demanding, out there just about every day. And of course, Triffany, her archaeology work, that's, a really, really big time sink for her. Still finding time for some fun. Boy, we took the boat out on the lake, old Triffy and I, just about every weekend this summer. Had a blast there. I'm sorry, how are you doing? Can I get you a beer? Letting the kids drink yet? No? No? All right, Marlboro. All right. Like that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're all pretty hammy intentionally, but yeah, like they're all pretty believable characters and like somewhat complex usually, like not to the point where like you'd be like, oh man, we're gonna be dissecting these character choices for a while, but like enough to make it like, yeah, this is a pretty good game.
I
like these people.
I just got to the mission with the non-binary mad scientist Floofty, I believe their name is.
Yep.
Where they ask me to dissect them, I think. Turn them into a full Bugsnax creature and then dissect them. And I'm interested to see where that goes. It's good.
Yeah.
I'm liking it. I'm trying to think if I have a favorite Bugsnax so far. I haven't figured out how to capture a Matza Supreme yet, but I'm going to do it. I want that one.
I never ended up doing that.
Then I'm going to catch it, and I'm going to put it in the rancher Grumpus, whose name I forget's farm, and that's just going to live there. Probably not happily, since that is a small farm, and that is a creature that, flies around. But it'll be there. Anything else? Anything else that we're checking out?
Yeah, we're not checking it out, but I feel like I'd be remiss to not bring it up on the podcast. We had a lot of this in the summer, but Trump did some of the most horrendous shit ever by a sitting president again, and it's not getting much coverage because it's Trump. And
it's par for the course.
Are you?
He's both gone and not, it's not interesting anymore.
Are you talking about the Georgia phone call?
Can't.
Yeah, the Georgia, for those who are not familiar, because it wasn't covered as much as it probably should be,
Georgia.
President Trump had a deranged phone call with the Secretary of State of the state of Georgia.
Like an hour long.
A literal hour long. Fortunately, there won't be some shitty transcript that was released and redacted by a Trump crony. Someone just fucking recorded the whole thing. And you can just listen to it all. And there's no doubt about it. He literally was just trying to pressure Republicans in the state of Georgia to overturn their election results for no reason other than he wants them to. And, that's it. That's the tweet. And the Republicans said no, because guess what? They actually... Sometimes in state government, you don't have to bend the knee as much as in the federal government. And so they were able to just be like, bro, you're wrong. Our election was free and fair.
I mean,
he got to the point where he wasn't just, because currently tons of Republicans are still, have been for, the last month and a half, but are still trying to overturn the election. That is obviously, that's the thing that they're trying to do. But they're doing so under the guise of, here are things that exist. I mean, we made them up, but let's say that they exist, and that's why this election shouldn't go the way that you, the voter, chose. No. Trump didn't say, try to prove that there was fraud. I mean, he did say that, but
he threw up a bunch of bullshit claims that have been repeatedly refuted.
Overthrow them because the machines were broken. Well, no, Mr. President, they weren't. Overthrow because blah, blah, blah. And then eventually he just said, well, okay, add more votes for me.
Yeah. He said, I just want to find 11,780 votes. They're just straight up. He's like, no, I mean, we just need to find these. And then he said, there's nothing wrong with saying, that you've recalculated.
In the same tone that he has definitely used to find cheap material to build one of his shitty motels. Maybe a couple votes fall off a truck, Maybe those go to me.
Yeah. Shot down when he tried one angle, the president pivoted to ask, but have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
Still
no, replied the lawyer. Are you sure, Ryan? I'm sure, Mr. President. Just fucking... No, dude. You're fucking high. You lost. Are Republicans gonna, cease to exist as we know them? There are now a dozen, right? A dozen Republican senators that are basically going to say on, Wednesday, that, this election was wrong, and, they don't agree with it, and that they think that everything should be shut down. There was how many senators, I can't remember... pre-Civil War that were basically advocating for secession that were removed from office because they were just openly being seditious and trying to destroy our democracy. How is that not on the table right now?
Yeah.
They've had 60 lawsuits. Every single one has been shot down. How is that not no?
Yeah.
These are, and a lot of these federal judges were appointed by Donald Trump, including the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. How are people still clinging to this?
Well, so these, you got to understand that these senators that are, going to do this, and it seems like they are actually going to do this. I think there's 12 of them. There may be more or less by the time we actually reach the inauguration. In their minds, they get to just keep being Republicans, that because there's not enough of them, they don't get to actually have a real impact on how this is going to go, but they get to keep their super Trump base in their, upcoming elections because they say, look, guys, I'm going to run on I stood with Trump. Vote for me because of that. And that's going to be their platform for a while. Of just,
how does that
I
not
stood with
splinter
Trump.
the party into literally two different groups? One that says the election was stolen and one that says it doesn't. Now that Mitch McConnell is pretty strongly like, y'all motherfuckers need to get in line. This election happened and Joe Biden is the president-elect.
Because we're going to find out, and anything is up in the air. You are correct. Like, things could go either way. I'm not disagreeing with you on that. The Republican Party still hasn't figured out if they are the Republican Party or if they are the Trump Party, which will then either have a different name or a completely different platform next time around. And they're going to they might use this as an experiment to figure out, are we going to run as conservatives or are we going to run as absolute fucking psychopaths?
Fascists.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Andrew, you said the same thing twice. Could you elaborate? I mean, and like, I joke, but the pragmatic part of me is kind of like, things are looking pretty good for the Democrats in Georgia right now, partially because Republicans don't know what the fuck to do and are too busy figuring out whether they should vote for these people or if they should say that the initial election doesn't count. And this level of disorganization is definitely beneficial to Democrats, and as somebody who, Democrats have their problems, but also they are the easiest avenue to getting closer to what I want for a society. I'm supporting them, so I don't know. Like,
that seems so short term, though. Like the thinking, because like Andrew was literally saying, are we going to pivot to becoming an openly fascist party? Like just a party that basically openly is moving down the road of any election that does not go our way is fraudulent. I feel like it might be a little bit short-sighted to be like, in the interim, Democrats might wrest control of the Senate for the next couple of years. But in reality,
politicians
that sounds horrifying.
In general usually don't care about the long-term ramifications of their party. They're worried about the next maybe
I'm saying
2 elections.
me and Lucas and you.
I mean, but
of
then,
course the politicians aren't going to. They're going to see, how can I get reelected? That's all they care about. But I'm saying for us, isn't it kind of terrifying? Like I'd much rather have the Republicans be united and like strong, but actually running on what they claim to be running on, of just like fiscal conservatism and like trying not to, let's not change the status quo, versus fucking just openly rebuking any and all attempt to actually run a democracy.
A good portion of this podcast in the last year or two has been the three of us openly talking about how angry and scared we are because the Republicans have set themselves up as literal fascists and put themselves in a position where they will just pretend that the elections go one way when they didn't. And people not really realizing that, we are on the brink of that. There's been so many tweets that I've seen of like, wow, leftists are so, stupid. Tweets from liberals of like, see guys, we trusted the process and the process took us where we needed to go. Like you all thought that Republicans were a bunch of fascists, but it's time to compromise. See, they did the right thing when like just enough of them did. There were still, even if there was only one Republican senator being like, no, Trump won, like, blah, 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 and he was the, crazy guy who was alone, that would be terrifying. But there's a lot of them that are doing this. And we all knew it was going to happen. We all knew. All three of us knew that was going to happen.
And the current sitting president of the United States of America is saying that too. It's not just 12 Republican senators. It is someone who is currently in charge for the next couple of weeks.
But even it's more than the 12. The numbers have dwindled in the last 6 or so weeks since the election. But it was like 40% of Republican representatives were saying that Biden didn't actually win for a while, and then as their lawsuits kept getting shot down because they were insane, more and more of them were like, okay, I guess, whatever. But there were a lot of them that were just like, what if the election went a different way?
Yeah. Lol, JK, unless.
What
No,
if I were to disguise election results as something else and serve
As my
them
own
as
cooking.
legitimate?
Delightfully devilish Loeffler. I don't know.
What's that coming from your kitchen? Voter fraud? Voter fraud. Can I see it?
In this,
No.
in this democracy,
In this year,
in the year 2020,
located in this country? Yes.
yeah, located entirely in the swing states with Joe Biden won.
Can I see it?
Can I
No.
see it? No.
Steamed Elections is now the front runner for the title of this episode.
Steamed elections is pretty good. God fucking damn it. I don't know, man. I'm just
No,
saying, the fascist movement in the United States is gaining speed.
Oh yeah, as
Has
is
been.
globally. Yeah.
Of course, globally, but like,
But we live
watch
here.
the documentary. Watch the documentary, The Social Dilemma, and it'll shed a lot of light on like how that happens and why it's happening and how we need to fix it.
Yeah.
So, but it just feels like, I don't know. There's a lot of decorum. A lot of these politicians are not young, upstart, mid-30, like Matt Gaetz types. A lot of them are. Ron Johnson was elected far before Trumpism was a thing, and I don't remember if he was part of the Tea Party movement, but even then, Tea Partiers weren't like this. They were just the most extreme version of conservatives that you can imagine. They were
what we
something
thought
else.
was as bad as it could get.
Yeah. Like, so, like, a lot of these are, like, establishment Republicans that have completely pivoted to openly embracing Trumpism versus the upstarts that owe their entire political career to Trumpism.
Right.
And it's just like, that's scary to me and feels like something else.
Well, a lot of people's response to that would be a lot of conservatives for a long time have been practicing a form of fascism that people was so mild that people either hadn't noticed enough to call it out or were too afraid to. And so this wasn't as much of a pivot for them as we might think it is. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, okay, I know how I feel about that. I think it's true. But you guys can think about that how you will.
I will go to bat to say right now that the Republican Party has been deeply problematic for a long time and has bridged.
I don't mean problematic. I mean fascist.
Yeah. Problematic is such an understatement.
The Republican.
You know what? They just don't use the right pronouns, and they're apologetic about it, but like you can tell that they don't put the effort in. So, you know, it's just a little problematic.
Okay. How about this then? The Republican Party has been flirting with fascism for a long time, and whether Trump is
probably
a
good way.
symptom or a cause of a lot of that coming to the forefront, I'm not sure. But
I've always
where
thought
we're
Trump
at.
was a symptom of just broader American, like where the American political system actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has been trending for a while. Yeah, and
I mean,
it's a symptom of that. But I'm just sitting there like a lot of these people were not elected on that base of like, yeah, no, I'm pro-Trump, like get the illegals out of this country and spend a lot of money nuking North Korea or whatever. They were like, you know what, I'm just a good down-home American and I worked in a factory. I remember Ron Johnson's fucking campaign ads when he first ran for Senate. And he's like, I've never worked a job other than working at this factory that I then bought, blah, 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 blah. I'm not a career politician. I'm a guy like you. I know what it means to make jobs. There was no like fucking just open race baiting that I can recall. And now he's one of the most staunch Trump supporters in the whole Senate. And so it's just like, I don't know. It's a little feels weird. That feels like not the same thing necessarily. Feels like something that existed independently and is now, a thing. So, I don't know, man. We're all gonna die.
Not me. As established at the top of the podcast.
You know,
With
Lucas
my high
hasn't
level
died
of
yet.
income.
He can't die ever.
With my high level of income and advances in modern science, it's not crazy to think I could live to be 250, 300. No problem.
You see, they put a pig heart in a human? I mean, he died, but it's wild to think that they're doing it.
It's wild that they're doing it. I said this to my girlfriend earlier that I was just like, you know what? We might not die. It's definitely a non-zero chance that we just don't die. That's actively true. And I always use this fucking example, and of course it's bullshit. We went, and like bullshit, quote unquote, from the year 1903, where the Wright brothers first flew a goddamn airplane, heavier than air aircraft, till 1969, where we literally landed human beings on the moon and brought them back safely. That's not even a full human lifetime.
No.
That's 66 years. Like, so to think we go from like infancy of like starting to cure all disease and like stop the aging process, which we're doing actually really well at like slowing down the aging process. It's actually kind of terrifying when you think about it.
What stock do I invest in for that?
I mean, a lot of them. Their anti-aging clinics are becoming really, really popular. So yeah, that notwithstanding, to say that we could go from the infancy of those industries to, just full-blown functional immortality within our lifetimes is not an insane thing to say. Of course, it's almost certainly not a thing, but it's definitely a non-zero chance, which is weird.
I mean, it's not just that in the short period of time, like our technology advanced so quickly. It's that you look at how much technology advanced in the thousands of years before that, because before, the Wright brothers, the most advanced form of, travel that they had come up with was basically, trains, steam engines, maybe even a car or two, like that type of thing. But for the 1,000, years before that, it was just, hey, we put wood on water and we can just float. And then after like 2,000 years of that, the most that had advanced was, we're doing that, but it's a little bit bigger than it was before. It's just...
No, you don't understand. The bark is really strong.
Yeah.
You know what? I personally look forward to us having to eat our lunch 5, 10, 15 years from now, and we are just living in the About Time universe. And that movie got it right. That movie is just society.
I mean, it's another thing from The Social Dilemma, or the documentary Social Dilemma. Like, basically, the difference between the revolution in, like, social media and how it's able to, like, appeal to human beings is these supercomputers and algorithms that are improving themselves at rates that are basically unprecedented. Like, and that human beings have kind of fallen behind. Like, we no longer quite understand how it's working, which is a terrifying concept, but if it could be harnessed, like, there's no reason to think that, like, that computing power can lead to another explosion akin to the explosion of technology in the mid-20th century, basically. Like, how we went from, fucking, hey, if we put these wings and spin air over them really fast, we can kind of get off the ground for a little bit, to literal jet engines, to literal rocket boosters. Like, now picture that with computing power, which has literally just trillions and trillions and trillions, like, exponentially improved over the last 40 years or so. Like, if that is able to continue, it's easy to picture how that leads to unbelievable developments that could then lead to us living forever. So I'm just saying.
Our robot overlords are going to get so much more labor out of us. Good for them.
Yeah.
If it means living forever.
We're going to live forever. And just think about it. Think about the dances that the Boston Dynamics robots are going to be doing in 4 years.
Dude, that shit, they're going to be lit.
As they haul our asses to the fucking gulags. And they're just, like, doing, like, the cha-cha slide.
Yeah.
It took them longer than anybody thought, but they have got the Backpack Kid dance down. I hear they're working on the Carlton now.
This will comfort the humans. They just start doing, like, the jets snap as they walk towards you threateningly.
The sirens blaring. They're like, divergent, divergent, divergent. But
this is referencing.
He's, like, dabbing and shit while moving towards you.
They're whipping as they, like, nay over to you to fucking...
And they just grab your head and slam you through the concrete, killing you instantly.
You know what? You know what? I know it's for the sake of keeping us, the lower class, complacent. But that robot that was twerking, pretty thick.
What's that from? That was a thing on Twitter for a while where they're like, we got to get this vaccine. It would be like, oh, so y'all telling me that the dad from Finding Nemo wasn't hot. People just, we got to get this damn vaccine. So y'all telling me that the Boston Dynamics robot isn't a fucking milk truck. We got to get this damn vaccine.
Oh, God. There's no topping that. We got to do a collapse sync and then the post roll. Beautiful. Thank you all so much for checking out the... Oh, God, I lost the episode count. It's been so great and engaging the entire time. Episode 125 of the Voluntary Viewing Podcast. If you like what you heard, like, comment, subscribe, etc. Comment, rating, review, blah, blah, blah. Check us out on Twitter at V2_podcast. There's going to be an active link in the description down below. Help a collection of great causes there. Otherwise, send us an email with your questions and business opportunities, voluntaryviewing@gmail.com. We have a Patreon, Voluntary Viewing Patreon. Check us out there. A lot of great tiers. We'd appreciate your support. Andrew, it's my understanding we are on Instagram.
We are on Instagram. And if you want to find us on Instagram, just search at Voluntary Viewing, all lowercase, no space or anything. Check out some of our cool, sick-ass highlights, either on Instagram or Twitter or YouTube. You can just see the funniest of moments from the Voluntary Viewing Podcast and the Quarantine Cast.
Mm-hmm. Such as the one that sticks out in my mind recently is the Kraft Singles Mobile sketch.
Do you ever want to know what a replacement for the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile might be, and if it could be a pirate ship powered by wind blowing into the sails of a Kraft single slice? Then follow us on Instagram.
Also, still a car.
Still
Disclaimer.
a car.
Still a car. Very much a ship, but it's on land. And then again, my appearance on the Suuuper Anime Podcast, also going to be in the description down below. Me on Twitter is... That doesn't make sense. My Twitter handle is at LucasDeRider. A lot of great stuff on there, including my reporting on the One Piece 1000th chapter release event. Basically, they're doing a global character poll. First time they have ever done something like that. So kind of a big deal. Check it out for the details on my blog. Bada bing, bada blog. I'm losing my voice. How are we ending this one?
Bada Bing Bada Blog is back? I don't think I was aware.
Yeah!
It's back as of this morning.
Whoa!
Lucas dug its ass up, strapped it to a chair, put the brain of a neurosurgeon and the heart of a track athlete in it, and then just shot it full of lightning.
Better believe. Got a Frankenstein blog on here.
When was the last post before this year?
I think it was May of 2019. I looked for it. It was like a board game review.
Somebody sent me a free board game to review, and you better believe I'm going to do that.
Have you been paying for the domain this whole time?
Yes, I have. I think it's like $18 a year. But that is more than worth it, because I'm never...
For a .com?
Yeah.
I feel like .coms are usually more expensive than that. That's impressive.
Not on WordPress. WordPress, give us money. But no, I'm holding on to that domain, mostly because I'm never going to come up with a better proper noun in my life than Bada Bing Bada Blog.
It's a really good website name to say, not very good to search for.
I mean...
I Googled Bada Bing Bada Blog, and it came right up, so I don't know.
Hey!
You got that SEO on point.
Fuck yeah! And we hope all of you have an on-point rest of your week. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the Quarantine Cast coming tomorrow. Yeah. Have a great week. Goodbye.